Lewis Hamilton is one of the most decorated Formula One drivers in the history of the sport. The seven-time world champion has fought through adversity to be where he is at today. And it seems as though the British driver wants to end his career on a high note, which means taking down Max Verstappen one last time. So, what exactly did Lewis have to say about his retirement plans? Well, you're going to stick around to find out. But before we get to it, consider subscribing to the channel so you don't miss out on our latest uploads. Now that's out of the way, let's get started. Just so everyone knows, Lewis is entering his final year in contract with Mercedes this 2023 season. And on many occasions this year, Lewis has voiced that he intends to extend his stay with the team. But in recent interviews, the British driver would say that he could decide to retire by the end of 2023 if he wins his 8th title. If he is able to do so, Lewis will be the winningest driver in F1 history. But he will have a tough road ahead of him, especially seeing how dominant Red Bull and their driver Max Verstappen was this past year. And to add on to that, Mercedes are on their heels with a subpar car in 2022 with their W13, which led to Lewis not winning a single race all season, a first in his 16 years of racing in Formula One. But to the team's credit, a late resurgence toward the end of the season restored hope in the fans and Lewis of the possibility that the team can compete for the title next season. Speaking to the media outlet Sport Build, the seven-time world champion would suggest that he could walk away from the sport if he were to win a title in 2023. "I know how hard it is to be at the top and to stay there," Hamilton told Bild. "We want to get back to the top. What gives us great hope is the end of this season. The last few races have shown a clear positive trend and prove that with perseverance, we can achieve anything." Now, if Hamilton were to retire after winning a title, he would be following the footsteps of his former teammate Nico Rosberg. To refresh everyone's memories, Nico had retired from the sport after defeating Lewis for the world title back in 2016. "We haven't started with that yet," Hamilton added. "So far, we haven't had the time. We've been on the road for 2 months at a time. Sometimes you wake up and have this feeling, I don't want to do this anymore. And sometimes you wake up and think, I can still do other things my whole life. There is definitely more I want to achieve. It won't be a terribly long time now, but I'll definitely be staying." But many believe that Lewis will not only have to contend with Max for the title next season, but also his teammate George Russell, who bested Lewis this 2022. Now, although the 2022 season was a wash for Mercedes, George's performance was commendable as he became only the third driver, along with Jenson Button and Nico Rosberg, who beat Hamilton with the same machinery over the course of a full season. This is exactly why former F1 driver Ralf Schumacher believes that George had outmatched Nico's performance in 2016. Mega, Schumacher told Sport 1 in Germany when asked about how he rated Russell and his season alongside the seven-time world champion. "You have to remember that he came as a young driver, as a teammate to Lewis, who was top dog in every respect. Still, he beat him. That gnaws at Lewis. For me, George's performance under these circumstances is even higher than that of Nico Rosberg in 2016. Ralph would add that big changes may happen at Mercedes if George were to outperform Lewis again in 2023, hinting that his nephew Mick Schumacher, who is now a reserve driver with the Silver Arrows, possibly getting a shot. Something could happen at Mercedes, Ralph told Sport 1 about his nephew's future. Let's say George Russell is faster than Lewis Hamilton again. Does he even want to continue? It's going to be exciting, but Lewis has so much credit at Mercedes that he decides for himself. In any case, the money will not matter to him. He has more than enough of that. The decisive factor will be who suits the new car better. This is a great opportunity for Mick. He can look over the shoulder of a top team at work and learn a lot. And he is not only a development driver, where he can certainly help Mercedes in the simulator to return to the top. As a reserve driver, he has to replace a regular driver if he drops out. We have had this situation more often in the last 3 years. Lewis Hamilton is still an absolute top driver, but he is no longer the youngest. The ravages of time are gnawing away, so you never know. I think it's a win-win situation for the team and Mick. Of course, another season with a fixed cockpit would have been better in principle, because driving is still the best thing for further development. On the other hand, he lacked the necessary support at Haas, so it would have been very difficult for him. If a team boss does not believe in a driver, you should part. From a purely sporting point of view, Mick's curve was clearly pointing upwards. That's why you don't necessarily have to understand Haas' decision. However, under these circumstances, it was the optimal solution for Mick. With all that put into account, plus what Toto had to say about Mick, Ralph believes that Mick will have a good chance at returning to the grid in 2024. You could see it that way. Mercedes team boss Toto Wolff has already said that Mick belongs with his skills in a regular cockpit. I think there could be interesting opportunities in 2024. Mercedes not only has its own team, but also partner teams where you can exert influence. And as for George, the young Mercedes driver has his eyes set on improving on his performance in 2022. I'm not going to walk away from this season with huge amounts of pride because I finished 4th in the championship. We still need to keep raising the bar, said George to the BBC. And there you have it, guys. So, do you think Lewis will be able to end things on a high note this season? Let us know in the comment section below. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't.